is a Senior Special Assistant Research and Documentation to the Kaduna State Governor. Good morning to you. Thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you so much, Uncle Yori. Thank you.
It's always our pleasure. Thank you very much. The conversation that is ongoing, the alleged genocide against Christians in Nigeria, perhaps as a result of our conversation, from your perspective, maybe we can sort of make sense out of it, because that is a thing that has been denied, certainly by the government, and there are those who are saying that this is a problem. If people are saying this, and you know what's been going on, there are the Senator Cruzes of this world over in America pushing the narrative that somehow Nigeria, is pointing a gun, so to speak, at its Christians. First of all, give me your understanding of, this quite distressing story, the alleged genocide against Christians.
Thank you so much, Uncle Yori. First of all, as a preface to this conversation, I must confess that issues of religion in Africa, particularly in Nigeria, are very delicate issues that many would love to shy away from. But the more we shy away from these issues, the more they hit us below the belt, the more they stare us in our faces, and so on. You could remember that at the centenary birthday celebration of posthumous celebration of the late Awolowo, our sage, the Nobel laureate, Professor Wole Soyinka, made a presentation, and he said the problem with Nigeria, or religion, is antithetical to our development. You could also remember that the late historian, Dr. Bala Usman, and quite a number of them from the Ahmadu Bello University axis, from elsewhere, even Olusegun Osogbo, and quite a number of them have spoken extensively about the role of religion in society. Mm-hmm. I must confess to you that this is the time to face the issues holistically and squarely, and also courageously. I make this point because for a very long time, religion has been a meal ticket for some people, especially the political class, to the detriment of the rest of society, and so on. But these things only thrive in societies where literacy level is so low. But to come back to this matter specifically, I would make the point that based on my credentials, that I'm a Christian from northern Nigeria, often referred to as minorities. And to make matters worse, I come from southern Kaduna, and even in southern Kaduna, as we used to say, we're a minority. That is the ethnic group nationality I come from. That is the Ikulu nationality. So back to your question now. I am a victim. I am a witness, and I think it is important that I tell my story.
Okay.
Even though there have been quite a lot of investigations, data presentation, mostly from without the country, but I think it is important that we ourselves tell our story, what is actually happening to us. What is missing in this whole conversation is a complete, holistic, comprehensive diagnosis of what the issues are, and then our inability to also define and to describe what the diseases are. We have often concentrated on the symptoms, leaving the disease deep down us without any seriousness from the intellectual class, particularly to tell us what actually is wrong with us. But I think it's time for us to tell our story. People have been talking about, of late, the issues of, the alleged issue of, that is genocide.
Yes, the alleged genocide
Christians
against Christians.
Yes, alleged genocide against Christians, particularly in northern Nigeria. And since I'm a northerner, I can also tell my story, since, as I have said, I'm also a victim of some of these crimes. But to make the point, I think whatever name we may choose to call it or to describe the disaster that is about to consume us or that has been consuming us, it boils down to the fact that these crimes are committed against humanity, irrespective of the identities or the labels we attach to them. Because as I speak to you, I have no problem with the semantics, whatever anybody will say, that there is a genocide against Christians. Because a few weeks back, a number of people, my friends, highly placed, some of them from Zamfara, some of them from Sokoto, some of them from Niger, some of them from Katsina, called me to say that there appears to be a genocide against them. And I know that they are also Muslims. So we might choose to call it whatever name we want to. Christians might call it a genocide. The Muslims too are complaining of the same thing, that there is a genocide against them, because I cannot explain what is actually happening on a daily, almost on a daily basis in Katsina, in Sokoto, in Niger and other parts of northern Nigeria, resulting to the death of also many Muslims. And then sometimes this violence, these attacks are carried out at places of worship, like the mosques and other places of where people gather to worship, and so on. So the point there is that whatever name we elect or select or choose to call it, there is a crime, there is a violence against humanity in Nigeria.
Whatever. Okay, just before we continue, let me just say that before your current appointment, because I introduced you as the Senior Special Assistant Research and Documentation to the Kaduna State Governor, you were known in, how does one put it, shall I call it journalistic circles, especially with the specialization of faith, especially the Christian faith. So in case anybody is just joining us now, and he says, but what is that Oga of research and documentation? What's he doing on a subject matter like this? One of the reasons why we wanted to speak was that you are, if I say so myself, a known voice when it comes to these kind of conversations. Is there anything in there that I said that is amiss and that you want to correct?
Not really. Prior to my appointment as a senior special assistant to the indefatigable governor of Kaduna State, Senator Dr. Obasani, I was on the street within journalistic cycles, making noise about marginalization, yes, about how we were treated, and so on and so forth. But it is even important to make the point that, as I said to you, I am also a victim of this violence.
Indeed.
Whatever name we choose to call it, because at least my mother was kidnapped, they came again, and the stories are funny as they are scary. So, but the point is that in the last 2 years, for some of us Christians in northern Nigeria, the body language of the president has demonstrated to these killers to tolerate them, which is why we have reflexes of hope around us, which is why if you had read the testimony, the submissions of Bishop Kuka in Rome recently, you could see that there appears to be a seeming contradiction with his position during the Buhari regime. Because what our understanding is that those strong institutions matter, but also strong men matter as well. If you go to Kaduna now, for instance, because of the activities of the governor, I think the last time I was here, we spoke about the Kaduna peace model because of justice, because he's disposed to addressing these issues. Kaduna is peaceful. And then we are not talking about some of these things that we had earlier raised or that we are talking about 2 or 3 years ago and so on. So the point there is that there is a change in status quo. If you ask any northern Christian now whether he feels comfortable comparatively between the regime of the late President Buhari and now under President Tinubu, he will tell you that despite the fact that we have a Muslim, we had a Muslim ticket, but we are now more comfortable than we were yesterday, and so on. So I think that is just the point.
You know, well, I was going to go there, especially when you said at the top of the program that you yourself speaking, you could be called a victim of these disturbances that go on. If your beloved mother was actually kidnapped, apparently for no more reason than being a Christian, was that established, or were these just, you know, bandit attacks where the collateral damage coincidentally involved Christians and other people?
From my testimony, from what I saw in my village, as I said to you, the stories are sometimes funny. She wasn't kidnapped because she's a Christian, because I can also tell you a number of Fulanis from my village who were equally kidnapped, who suffered this violence and so on. That is why I'm finding it difficult to find a name, to give a name to what we should call this violence, whether we should call it a genocide against Christians or a genocide against humanity. Because should we say there is a genocide against Christians, then we have to be able to tell the world what is happening in Katsina, whether it can be called or it qualifies for a genocide, what is happening in Niger, what is happening in Zamfara, what is happening elsewhere in Sokoto and other parts of northern Nigeria. And I think the important thing there is that irrespective of the identities we attach to these things, irrespective of the labels, the coloration we give to them, what is important is that there is a crime against humanity and not just against people who are Christians.
Indeed.
Because I make the point that recently back in my village, a Fulani man who is called Wakil in Fulani, that is an emissary, a representative of the Fulani in the traditional council. He represents the Fulani people. He's a graduate of the Usman Danfodio University, has been kidnapped for, I think, over 2 months now, and then they have been demanding for, I think, well over 10 million naira. And so, and this is somebody who represents the Fulani. So I find it very troubling when people give labels to this violence, to this what is happening by seeing it from the prism of
religion,
identity, to say that it is ethnic, or to say that it is religious. It is far away from that.
Okay.
If you ask me again, yes, because to my mind,
I beg your pardon,
as a
sir.
victim
I beg your pardon.
Yes.
Indeed, I will let you continue your story. But Ade has called in from the UK. Good morning, Mr. Ade.
Good morning, Mr. Yori, and good morning to your guest.
Thank you. Go ahead, please.
How do you when Basani come, everything.
Mr. Ade, I'm so sorry. If you could have heard it, the audio is nothing to really talk about. We couldn't hear you. You know, the telephone sort of muffled and distorted your voice such that we couldn't make out anything you were saying. If you would be good enough to try again, we would really appreciate that. So thank you very much, Mr. Ade, calling in from the UK. Okay, thank you very much. You were, to come back to you, you were narrating, you know, part of your experience, Francis. So if you had finished there, or because if you had finished there, okay, but if not, I wanted to sort of bring up the fact that the Catholic Bishop of Sokoto Diocese, the nationally known Bishop Matthew Hassan Kuka, he has actually been urging the United States to take it easy and not go and designate us, that is the country, as a country of particular concern. The bishop said that you do that, you're going to be, you know, interfering, maybe even sabotaging, no matter how unintentionally, sabotaging efforts to promote dialogue and national healing. I'm sure you are very, very aware of that because Bishop Matthew Hassan Kuka happens to be a mentor of yours. Okay,
Exactly.
I just heard, sorry sir, I just heard that our Mr. Ade in the UK is back. So I'll come right to you as soon as he is through. Go ahead, Mr. Ade, thank you for trying again.
Okay, good morning to your guest.
Yes.
I disagree with the word genocide. I don't believe there's any genocide anywhere. And it's not to this matter. So, in the previous government of Kaduna, look at the way they are killing the southern Kaduna. Now everything went quiet. Nothing is happening again. Ibasani got there with his good leadership. Everybody is living at peace. We have never had one day that they went and killed. Why were they killing them before? There should be probe to the leadership of the previous government. That's number one. Number two, what we are suffering in Nigeria is the herders and what do you call them, farmers. That is what is causing problems. The DSS now allows us in Ondo State that ASWAP is coming to Ondo State. Does ASWAP know Christian or Muslim? No. These are criminals. And the Nigeria head of state told us that they know the name, they will reveal their name. The Nigeria Republic head of state. You see? Which means to go after the leaders, people. Person can come to and be a governor and there's peace. That means it's a leadership. So they should probe all these people.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Ade. We really do appreciate the effort you made to call back in again. It was slightly better because we could make sense out of what you were saying this time. The long and short of which I believe is that you said there is no, you know, there's no genocide going on anywhere. It's something else. We'll continue the program. So back to you, Mr. Damina. You were going to, comment on Bishop Kuka's, statement to the U.S. to not label the country or designate the country as one of particular concern, because there are efforts, ongoing efforts at improving dialogue and that kind of a thing. Talk to me about that, please.
Okay, Nkuyori. I think we share the same experience with the bishop, since we come from the same place and then the same circumstances and context. We saw it during the regime of our late President Muhammadu Buhari. We actually saw hell. When you go back, that is why I don't believe in resorting to data from international community, from people who have insular interest, and members of the academia and so on and so forth. When you go to these communities, interview the people, you will get to know their experiences. There was a time, a village ahead of mine, somebody was kidnapped. You would think that this is an issue for the theater. Somebody was kidnapped because there was an info that he has close to ₦1 million. The kidnappers took him away, and then his family they demanded a ransom of ₦1 million. So at the end of the day, they were able to raise only 700,000 naira. So they were agreeable with the kidnappers. The kidnappers said, we're going to release him, but after some times, make sure that you raise the balance, call us, and then we'll give you an account or we'll tell you where you will remit the balance to. Like Jock, he was released after the payment of 700,000 naira. 3 months later, it was preparation for the rainy season. He was able to raise some money, went to the market, purchased some bags of fertilizer, came back home, and then it got to the kidnappers that the man has some money now, to the extent that he went to the market to buy some bags of fertilizer. They immediately called him and reminded him that there is a balance of 300,000 naira. So on a good day, he went to his farm, and then they picked him again. And then they started shouting at him, you know that you are owing us, and yet you went to the market to buy fertilizer, and so on. So they didn't release him until when the family was able to settle the 300,000 naira to the kidnappers.
No wonder you said it
Yes.
was resembling a theater, as if it was a theater program. Can you believe what we've just heard you share with us? Can you just believe that? Oh, well. Please continue.
That is true. As I'm talking to you, yesterday somebody called me from my village to say that they have been calling him since Friday, asking for 100,000 naira, but that he should send them, they send an account number, that he should send them 10,000 naira to buy the charge card first. Later on, he can settle them, and otherwise he will be in for it. And so the stories are everywhere.
So these are extortions. These are stories of extortion going on.
Yes. But it could be interpreted so. But when you refuse to adhere to their admonitions, that is when you will know that there is no difference between extortion and the violence that we see almost on a daily basis, because they will actually come for you with their AK-47, and then they will take you away, and that is when you'll be required to pay millions of naira and so on. We have people who are taken, and then you have to provide motorcycles, you have to pay money, and so on and so forth. So the stories appear funny, as you may think, but for us, we know what we underwent, and then we can compare between yesterday and today. So back to your question on Bishop Kuka. Bishop Kuka is a human being. He saw yesterday, and he's still living in today. So, which is to make the point that we have seen a reasonable commitment on the part of government to ending this violence, because whether you like it or not, whatever name you may choose to call this violence, whether you call it genocide against humanity, farmer herder problems, genocide against Muslims, or Fulani, Hausa Rift, or whatever, what is important to us is that this problem has thrived because of our justice system. There has not been a clear-cut commitment to punishing criminals, whatever name or religion they answer to, and that is what is important to us. Our justice system seems to favor murderers, and then it is harsh on petty criminals. You see somebody in prison because he stole his neighbor's goat, he stole his neighbor's chicken or whatever. But there are people who are roaming around freely, who are responsible for the killing of a whole community, who are responsible for kidnapping, and so on and so forth. I think the other time, the Chief of Defense Staff himself came out to say they have a problem with their judiciary, because today you take somebody there, tomorrow he is released on bail, and so on. So that is largely a problem. But all of us, Bishop Kuka inclusive, can see the commitment on the part of President Tinubu, which we very much appreciate. Go back to our villages now. We were afraid during this rainy season, but now it has come and gone. There is peace in our communities. You could see the commitment on the part of the federal government. You could see the commitment on the part of the soldiers. You could see the commitment on the part of the governor. You could see the commitment, especially on the part of my local government chairman. He's everywhere. Okay. Once it is mentioned that...
I beg your pardon, sir. Yet again, thank God that it's not today we knew each other. You are aware of how the program is structured. We have to go on a break, but we'll be right back and you'll be able to continue this narration. Do stay with us, please.
The Renewed Hope Initiative RHI presents the RHI Green Nigeria Challenge. Go green today for a greener tomorrow. This national competition is in 3 categories. The household category is a tree planting competition amongst 11 frontline states in northern Nigeria. Each participating household in Adamawa, Borno, Bauchi, Gombe, Jigawa, Kano, Katsina, Kebbi, Sokoto, Yobe, and Zamfara states will plant a minimum of 1 tree to qualify, with a video evidence of before and after the tree planting exercise. 20 million naira will be awarded to the best household. Submission deadline is 20th December 2026. Community category will see local governments, local communities, schools, and NGOs reclaim and transform degraded or abandoned areas such as dump sites, landfills, parks, and their likes into green, vibrant gardens, parks, and eco-friendly spaces. 50 million naira will be awarded to the overall best community group. Deadline for submission is 15th July 2026. State category will have all states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory, excluding Enugu State, have a chance to address the growing threats to environmental sustainability and cleanliness. States will be judged based on the number of trees planted on major roads and inner streets and how clean they are. 100 million naira will be awarded to the best performing state. Already, Enugu State has 100 million naira for being RHI's model green state due to its greenery and cleanliness. Video evidence must be submitted by participating states on or before 20th December 2026. All entries must be directed to RHI Office, State House, Abuja, or email rhi.greenchallenge@statehouse.gov.ng. RHI Green Nigeria Challenge. Go green today for a greener tomorrow.
Okay, welcome back. And our guest is Francis Damina, Senior Special Assistant to the Kaduna State Governor, Uba Sani, on research and documentation. And we're looking at the challenge of the alleged genocide against, that question, the alleged genocide against Christians in Nigeria, facts versus vision. If you haven't been with us, Mr. Damina, has been telling us that it doesn't matter what you call it, what violence, genocide, and all of these. The point is, the criminality has reached a level where people are hardly even bothering anymore about what you want to call it. But the one thing that everybody, well, most people seem to be suffering from is this matter of violence. Please continue, Mr. Damina. I had to interrupt you in order to go on break.
Okay, Uncle Yori, so I think so far we are agreed that number one, whatever the semantics, whatever the nomenclature, it doesn't really matter. What we, the victims, are saying is that we need a circumstance, we need a system, we need a justice system in Nigeria that punishes criminals, whether they are Muslims, whether they are Christians, or whatever labels are given to them is non-essential, is not important to us. Because for the many times that priests were kidnapped, at the end of the day, it will be at the end of the day, you find out that those who are behind their kidnap are either their cooks or members of the parish council, members of the church, and so on and so forth. So every ethnic group, every religion has a representative in this tournament of violence. And then we cannot claim that a particular tribe or members of a particular religion are the referees and are also the players and so on. So all of us are involved directly or indirectly in one way or the other. Because what is troubling to me is that the Muslims are all equally complaining of a genocide against them. Christians are complaining of a genocide against them. At the ethnic level, the Hausa people are also complaining that there is an ongoing genocide against them in Zamfara, in Katsina, in Sokoto, and elsewhere. So we are not bothered about the name given to it. The first thing is that we will want to see on ground is a punishment mechanism, a justice system that punishes criminals irrespective of their name, their identity, their religion, their tribe, or whatsoever. By the time we have that on ground, then we will know that we are moving forward.
Indeed, you're so very correct. But what do you think is going on? Because oftentimes we hear these stories, and I think you've alluded to it yourself this morning. Justice is hardly seen to be done. Whereas the law has its own ways and its own quirks. But the ordinary person who is not quote-unquote learned just doesn't see the fairness of it all. So what do you think is responsible for this almost lackadaisical attitude? Because even the police force itself is made up of different sorts of people, both Christians and Muslims and Fulanis and non-Fulanis. But this whole matter about, as you said, the justice system has been fingered. It is making life, whereas it is making life unbearable for the victims, when you look at the perpetrators of this violence, they're laughing their head off. They are controlling, as it were, the whole scenario. Imagine that story that you told us, that if it wasn't, for true, it sounded almost comical. They couldn't pay everything. They paid 700,000 out of ₦1 million ransom, and actually were calling to, remind people that you still owe us 300,000. So, and this is not a thing that you could take to the police, or that people could take to the police and say, come and see what is happening. What do you think is going on there? Because as you said, President Tinubu, he is actually making a difference, and you have seen a difference. I'm speaking about people in those environments. They have actually seen a difference between what is obtaining perhaps now and going back to the last regime and earlier.
Yes, Uncle Yori. There are many comical stories. In fact, I think 4 months ago, 2 ladies were kidnapped from my village, and then they were taken elsewhere. So it was before the Salah celebration, and then the kidnappers were to go to their various posts for the Salah celebration, since they had 2 victims. So what they did was that the kidnappers from Niger State took one of the victims with them, and those from Katsina took the other victim, believing that when ransom is paid, they will use the money for Salah and so on. But thank God that these victims are back. But the story they told us was that they actually saw one of our brothers who brought the kidnappers. The kidnapping took place in his presence. They went away with him by foot, and when they got to a point where there was no money, the kidnappers requested that he should take their ATM and then help them to get ₦1 million from the POS or from the bank. Unfortunately, when he took the ATM card, he never came back. So the kidnappers are currently looking for him, and we are also looking for him, our brother. It may sound comical, but that is what is obtainable almost on a daily basis. We don't know where he is.
It is not a laughing matter.
But you know,
this is a very, very serious matter. It's not a laughing matter at all. But as you said, you hear of these ridiculous kind of stories. But if you were to try and touch on the point of, we can't accuse the police of bias. Hopefully, surely we can't. So why is it that easy for these criminals, actually, in the very, very first instance? Why is it that easy for them to carry on the way they are carrying on? What are your...
Because there are Uncle Yori, there are many ungoverned spaces in Nigeria.
Okay.
There are many ungoverned spaces. Yes, you don't see the presence of security agents in many of our villages. You can walk well over 20 to 30 kilometers. There is no police station, there is no vigilante, and so on. And now, one person with AK-47 can control over 100 people, and so on. So you can't fight back, you can't resist them. Sometimes they just come to you to say, okay, please, let's go. And then you follow them. There is no resistance to it, and so on and so forth. So, and you may have noticed that in many of our rural areas, the youth population is absent. Many of them are in the cities looking for greener pastures. Assuming everyone was to be at home, we can say that to an extent we can resist these criminals. And so on. But most of those you find in the rural areas are people who have come of age. They are in their late 60s, 70s, 80s, and so on. So they are vulnerable to these crimes and criminals. And whenever the kidnappers come around, there is very little they can do to resist them. And sometimes it is even better to pay the ransom and then to live in peace, because I recall when my mother was kidnapped, I was talking to them. They will call me, they will ask me, how is your brother Joshua? How is Friday? How is Jemima? How is I will say they are all fine. They will tell me, we went to the market. I said that your mother is not fortunate. That your brother, we saw him in the market. He's not even bothered that we picked your mother. He's not making effort to raise money to pay ransom. We saw him in the beer parlor over a bottle of Goldbeck and so on and so forth. That he's not a serious person. And so I said, sorry, please, we are working hand in gloves to make sure that we raise this money for you and so on and so forth. But the truth of the matter is that with the coming of this government, there is a change in status quo, which is to make the point that the body language of a president, a governor, a local government chairman, any chief executive that is saddled with the trust of looking after the security, the lives and properties of the people matters a lot. If you go to Zangon Kataf is a notorious place in the totality of southern Kaduna, as it were long before now. On a daily basis, you hear stories of not only kidnapping, but violence, 30 people, 20 people, 10 people, and then it's like a return match of a thing. They come to us today, tomorrow we prepare to go to them, and so on in their own amphitheater where we'll play the match of bloodletting and so on and so forth. But since this young man, the local government chairman, Engineer Bege Joseph Gaya, came on board, the whole thing changed because, number one, he's a young man, and then he has demonstrated in this last 1 year that he's not ready to tolerate any nonsense. Any case that comes to the police or goes to the court, he will make sure that he follows it up to make sure that these criminals are punished. And I'm sure that he has learned this thing from His Excellency Governor Obasani, who has sent a signal across the state by his own ways of doing things, that there will be justice, and that he will not tolerate any reflexes of violence from any quarter, irrespective of who the person is and what religion or ethnicity he answers to. So okay. I think those who are in power must always try to demonstrate that they are for all and they are for nobody, as
exactly.
Our former and late president said to
us. Okay, one moment. Mazi Okoroafo, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Sayori. This issue of genocide, we have to sit down, all of us.
The question of whether there is indeed genocide, whether there actually is genocide or not.
There is people basically massively. That is a massacre. I've not seen that one. There is no content in the whole world. We don't have problem. Now, when we talk about, the president talk about Nigeria genocide. What is happening in Gaza? What is happening with Hamas? What is happening in Pakistan? What is happening in Afghanistan and Pakistan? What is this happening? The problem we have this issue of our social media. The social media has created a lot of problems. So when you see that somebody will come and say, where there is a motor accident, instead of you to help, save life, you start saying something to their brain and start posting, starting something, making the people who are seeing it,
okay. Mazi, I beg your pardon, Mazi. The quality, and first, let me also apologize to our viewers. The quality of those calls coming in leave a lot to be desired. We're so sorry about that. We are working on it. If it's something that we can sort out from here, but if it's within the telephony system, I guess not all days are equal or similar in terms of signal reception. Okay, so Francis, I wonder, from what we've been talking about, there is clear criminality. There's no way you can escape that. But whether that's the same as being able to say, and that's why I understand when you said you actually have a difficulty if you want to go the semantic route about whether you want to call it genocide or anything like that. The important thing is that it needs to stop. We are hurting, we are losing. But is it genocide properly defined? Genocide involves wanting to stamp out. Nobody can stamp out Christianity in Nigeria. Nobody can stamp out Islam in Nigeria. So to think so is foolhardy. And that's probably where people are coming from, that there is nowhere in this country, no normal, sphere of thought where genocide is a thing. You can't, genocide properly defined, it's not so. That's what we are hearing. But you see, that is not to belittle or reduce the anguish that people are feeling. That cannot be done. But genocide, and that's why probably, Bishop Kuka was saying that it wasn't helpful at all the way they were carrying on in the U.S. Well, he didn't say carrying on, but you know what I mean. That maybe carrying on could be seen to be a bit rude in this context. But Bishop Kuka had said that you go along the lines of trying to designate Nigeria as a country of particular concern, it's not going to be helpful, and you don't know all the facts. That's Senator Cruz, distinguished Senator Cruz over there. He doesn't know the lie of the ground. He doesn't know, he doesn't have a good idea of what you've been sharing with us. But there are people who are talking to him, and indeed some government officials have made the case that there are some people who are bent on painting Nigeria black for whatever reason in the West.
Yes, that is true, Uncle Yori. I don't even know why we always run to the U.S. as if the U.S. is a moral watchdog. We tell our problems to the U.S. If there is genocide in Nigeria, or whatever name they choose to call it, what is happening in Gaza? What is happening in other parts of the world, and so on and so forth. So the point there is that we must make a mistake. Africa must make mistakes. Nigeria must continue to make mistakes and learn from the mistakes and then correct ourselves.
Okay.
That is the way to nationhood. Secondly, most of the narratives about genocide are not coming from the victims. They are from the outside. And I don't think anybody could cry more than the bereaved. I think that is what we, the victims, are saying.
Okay, one moment, sir. Let me bring on this other... sorry. Let me bring on this other guest, Dr. Durosimi, retired AIG. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning. If I guess right, we're talking about genocide in Nigeria.
The alleged genocide.
Yes, there is nothing like that. And what matters is that we Nigerians will be very careful about the way we report incidents in Nigeria. For instance, look at what's happening in Katsina State. Katsina State is about 90% Muslims. But still, there are people being killed at one time or the other. Genocide, as I know, has to be government involvement. But in Nigeria, criminals are the ones carrying out the killing and the kidnapping. The criminals don't, they could be Christian, they could be Muslims. They don't care about religion when it comes to killing. And our cooks, the drivers, and the house, people in the house are the ones giving information to criminals. Most times when they even report this issue to police, they're discussing that thing when they are hearing. And when they are hearing, they'll be giving back the people who are in the bush. In Nigeria, there's no genocide. I can say that categorically. There's no government involvement, and there's no group of people saying they're after Christian or they're after Muslim. As Christians are dying, Muslims are dying. What we need is to reinforce our security, ensure that the police is properly funded and properly trained, so that with technology, we can actually get to these criminals before they strike. That is my contribution.
No, thank you, Dr. Durosimi. Okay, Mr. Damina, that's a viewer comment there. It's along the lines we've been talking about that, look, it might be convenient for some people to call it, genocide. That's why we're talking about alleged genocide. But there are people who are not being dismissive when they say that there is no genocide in Nigeria. That's not dismissiveness. That's the truth. And you yourself, you've been very discreet and careful how you express these things, that whereas you're not rubbishing the whole notion, but the thing is, it's a semantic thing. In fact, you introduce the word semantics into our program because violence is happening, and but it hasn't been established that it is exclusively unleashed on Christians, or for that matter, Muslims. You yourself have given us indications of, the difficulty in trying to understand this. Well, we've almost run out of time. So I'd like to thank you very much for the insight you've also given to this whole matter. And also, you were able to share with us, and we thank you very much for that, a personal story about how these things go on. And you've also said that this administration, especially President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, there has been a difference, and people appreciate it. But the work must continue, seems to be the point you are making. We must continue. Okay, we're going to have to leave it here now. I think it froze there, but our guest was Francis Damina, Senior Special Assistant Research and Documentation to the Kaduna State Governor, Uba Sani. Thank you once more, in case you can now hear us, Mr. Damina. Thank you very much for coming on the program. Okay, so please join us again on Monday for a fresh edition of the program. Bye-bye for now.
Lagos to the world, TVC Communications has been nominated for its very first international award, the prestigious AIB. It's a recognition of our voice, vision, innovation, and relentless drive to push beyond boundaries. TVC Communications, Nigerian excellence on the world stage.
Keeping hope alive.
We are the drumbeats that refuse to be silent,
even when the rhythm falters.
We are the green that refuses to fade,
and the white that dares to shine.
Hope is not a stranger here.
It lives in our markets,
our music, and our streets.
Every dawn in Nigeria is proof that tomorrow is still worth fighting for.
Hope is a child in the classroom, eyes wide, with dreams bigger than walls.
Hope is the farmer planting seeds in faith, believing in rain and harvest.
Hope is the youth unafraid to rise,
rewriting the story of our tomorrow.
Hope is us, millions of voices refusing to give up on the promise of this land.
Nigeria, our independence is not just history.
It is a call to keep believing,
to keep building, to keep hoping.
Power, politics, and accountability on fireworks. No seat is too high, no question too hard. If they hold an office, they are on the hot seat. If they have power, they answer to the people and answer the hard questions.
Only strong men lead, not weak men who don't have knowledge, who don't have capacity, who don't have access.
This is not just talk. This is fireworks.
Corruption
it started corruption in when you cannot send your animal to where they train police officers.
No filter, no favoritism, no fear, no holds barred, unbiased, unafraid, unfiltered.
Why should people elected into office and are being funded by the treasury of the state, and then their salary and allowances will be treated in secrecy?
Fireworks, only on TVC News.
TVC News, first with breaking news. And that's it on TVC News. We're back at the top of the hour with more updates. Breaking news, two words that define our world: unpredictable but inevitable. It's the rush of adrenaline, the spark that ignites our curiosity. But you see, breaking news is more than just a headline or an attention grabber. It's a responsibility to tell the truth, to seek out the facts, and to share the stories that need to be told.
As a news anchor, I've witnessed history unfold before my eyes.
From moments of triumph to times of tragedy, beyond the screaming headlines, there are real people, real communities and families affected by the news. And that's why breaking news isn't just about being first, but being accurate, balanced, and reliable. It's given our audience the information they need to make informed choices and decisions. At TVC News, that's what we stand for. Going beyond the surface, telling the stories that matter, first with breaking news.
Akiwande Oluwole Soyinka was born on 13th July 1934 in Abeokuta, Nigeria, to parents Samuel and Grace Soyinka. His education began with the Christian lessons of his parents as well as the more traditional Yoruba spiritual customs taught to him by his grandfather. He had his preparatory university studies at Government College Ibadan in 1954, subsequently University College Ibadan, and he continued at the University of Leeds, earned a bachelor's degree in English literature. Soyinka's master's degree focused on projects combining his Yoruba culture with traditional British theatre traditions. He later returned to school in Nigeria to study African theatre, during which time he continued to produce poems and plays, one of which appeared on Nigerian television. Shortly after, he became the chief of the Cathedral of Drama at the University of Ibadan. Nigeria had only recently gained independence from Britain and political corruption was at a high. Soyinka's plays and poems became increasingly political and he began giving speeches protesting government corruption. He was accused of conspiring with the Biafra rebels. He was therefore arrested and imprisoned in 1967 for almost 2 years during the Civil War, but managed during his time to write numerous poems. He was finally released in 1969 after a brief period in France. He returned to his position at the university where he founded the magazine Black Orpheus. He left his position and Nigeria in 1971, wary of the political climate of the country. During this time, he published books of poetry and essays. His plays were collected and published, and newer plays were staged. In 1986, he was the first African to win the Nobel Prize in Literature for a wide cultural perspective and with poetic overtones fashioning the drama of existence. He dedicated his acceptance speech to Nelson Mandela and used the platform to criticize apartheid. Later that same year, Soyinka was awarded the Ajib Prize and in 1988 published his book Mandela's Earth and all the poems as well as art, dialogue, and outrage, essays on literature and culture. He also accepted a position at Cornell University. Throughout his life, he has served as a spokesman against apartheid and government corruption. He has won numerous other awards for his work, including the Anisfield Wolf Book Award, the Academy of Achievement Golden Plate Award, and the Ajib Prize for Literature. And he has taught at many prestigious universities, including Emory University, Harvard, and Obafemi Awolowo University. In his lifetime, Soyinka has published 2 novels, 3 collections of short stories, made 3 movies, translated 2 novels, 5 memoirs, 7 poetry collections, 13 essay collections, and produced nearly 30 plays. He holds honorary doctorates from numerous universities and has been invited to teach in schools around the world. He continues to write prolifically in spite of a bout with prostate cancer in 2014. Wole Soyinka, the Nigerian playwright and political activist, has positioned himself as a voice of the voiceless through his piece of art. He has distinguished himself as the African icon that continuously
At TVC News, wherever the big news story is happening, we're geared up to break it. TVC News, first with breaking news.
Hello everyone, and thanks for joining us on the Midday News live from our Abuja studio. We begin with this developing story in Abuja where Justice James Omotosho of the Federal High Court moments ago gave the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, till Monday, October 27th to open his defense in the terrorism charges against him. The judge fixed the new date following the complaint by Mr. Kanu that his former lawyers, led by a former Attorney General of the Federation, Kanu Agabi, had not released his case file to him to study. At the day's proceedings, no lawyer appeared for Mr. Kanu. Mr. Kanu, who entered the dock with a bundle of documents, announced his appearance for himself and thereafter informed the judge that his legal team, sacked on October 23rd, has not released the case file to him. He claimed that he was constrained to ask for an adjournment to enable him get the case file and study same and prepare fully for his defense. Besides, he said he intends to call 23 witnesses from within and outside the country and urged the courts to issue an order to the Department of State Services to permit the foreign witnesses to access him. He also asked the judge to order DSS to allow his lawyers to have access to him on non-working days, which was promptly granted. Away from the court to security matters, where the Nigerian army says it has intensified its nationwide counter-terrorism charges and anti-banditry operations, killing 8 terrorists and arresting suspects. Army authorities confirmed that in a series of coordinated operations, troops eliminated 8 terrorists, apprehended 21 suspects, and rescued 15 kidnapped victims from various hideouts. The operations also led to the recovery of a large cache of arms and ammunition, including assault rifles, improvised explosive devices, and communication gadgets. In the northeast, troops of the 81 Division Task Force Battalion of Gajibo in Borno State repelled an ISWAP terrorist attack, killing 2 insurgents and recovering rifles, explosives, and other items. In another ambush at Wunje village in Gwoza, LGA, 4 terrorists were taken out while others fled. Similar operations in the North Central region saw troops of Operations Enduring Peace and Well Stroke eliminate 2 kidnappers in Plateau State, rescue hostages, and recover firearms, ammunition, ransom money, and other materials. In other news, the House of Representatives says it will intensify oversight to ensure all highways across Nigeria are motorable, especially as the year ends. The House Committee on Works, led by Oyo State lawmaker Akin Alabi, insists that only an efficient road network can justify the federal government's huge investment in infrastructure. We have more in this report.
The Abuja-Kaduna-Zaria-Kano Highway remains one of Nigeria's busiest transport corridors, linking the north and the south for trade and travels. To fix its dilapidated state, the federal government allocated 777 billion naira for the remaining 282 kilometers, with a 14-month completion target for Section 2, valued at 525 billion naira. As the August 2026 deadline approaches, lawmakers from the Committee on Works visited the site to assess progress and quality of work. Officials of the Ministry of Works and the contracting firm assured that the project remains on track and will meet the set deadline.
In recent times, the contractor has shown commitment to this project by bringing in more concrete pavers, bringing in more rollers, graders, and tippers, and all the equipment they need, to push this work. And with the rains going down, I'm sure that in the near future the work will pick up so much pace, and then we'll all be happy.
We give our full assurance that we will meet the time. It is the interest of ourselves, but also of the President and of the Minister and of every person that uses this road, that we complete this work in time and make it more easier and convenient from south to north. So we have our full commitment. We're working 7 days in the mornings, from 6 o'clock in the morning till dark in the evening. Unfortunately, we are restricted by the security on this road, and which is unfortunately a problem. But nevertheless, we manage and we overcome.
After inspection, the lawmakers praised the quality of work, but cautioned against the use of substandard materials, pledging to sustain close monitoring until completion.
This kind of work is unprecedented, and to also appreciate the engineers, the contractors and the engineers for what we have seen so far, and we continue to encourage them to fast track their work to meet up the deadline.
In reality, the people have suffered enough.
decades of neglect on this road. And I'm sure with the executive and the parliament working together, I'm confident that next year, August also, completion date? Yes, sir. August, we want to see this road commission and Nigerians to begin to enjoy this road.
The committee promised to ensure Nigerians get value for the government's massive investment. Jokeyatsa, TVC News, Abuja.
The Cross River State government has reaffirmed its commitment to inclusive governance and human development through a series of compassionate outreach visits across Calabar. Governor Basio too led the initiative engaging widows, inmates, children, and the elderly in a day dedicated to empathy, empowerment, and renewed hope. Tina Akweke tells us more.
It was a joyful gathering at the State Library Complex in Calabar as widows from across the 18 local government areas came together for an empowerment outreach hosted by the Governor of Cross River State, Basio too.
Let me thank you for all the prayers that you've given to this administration. It's not really been easy with us, but we are doing our very best. We want to touch every ward of this state. Amen. And every unit. Amen. And we are going directly, irrespective of party. Yes, sir. To make sure that the dividends of democracy trickles down. But I know it won't be too long. Before we know it, the economy will be robust enough to take care of everybody.
The wife of the governor joined in the outreach, urging women to remain hopeful and united in purpose.
I'm proud of my women, because without you, of course, there's no governance.
The event saw the distribution of food items, gifts, and financial support, bringing relief and smiles to many beneficiaries.
Dear mother, we love you. Yeah. We owe our gratitude and loyalty to you. We say God will replenish you and your husband 1,000-fold.
From the library complex, Governor Tu's convoy moved to the Nigerian Correctional Service Africa, where he interacted with inmates and donated essential supplies worth millions of naira, a gesture that drew applause and appreciation. Leaving Africa, the day's compassion train made its next stop at the motherless babies' home, where laughter, songs, and bright smiles filled the air as Governor extended his goodwill to the children. The governor pledged continuous government support for the welfare and education of the children, ensuring they grow in love and dignity. The outreach climaxed at the home for the aged, where Governor Tu spent time with elderly residents, sharing laughter, prayers, and words of encouragement. For Governor Basio too, leadership goes beyond policies. It's about touching lives and restoring hope through compassion. Tina Akweke, TVC News, Calabar, Cross River State.
The federal government has rolled out a major youth empowerment initiative under the Technical and Vocational Education and Training Program, aimed at equipping 1 million young Nigerians with employable and entrepreneurial skills. The Minister of Education, Tunji Alausa, spoke during an inspection visit to some training centers in Abuja. Mariam Mohammed reports. We apologize for that audio loss, but let's go on a short break. The news returns in just a moment.
The Renewed Hope Initiative RHI presents the RHI Green Nigeria Challenge. Go green today for a greener tomorrow. This national competition is in 3 categories. The household category is a tree planting competition amongst 11 frontline states in northern Nigeria. Each participating household in Adamawa, Borno, Bauchi, Gombe, Jigawa, Kano, Katsina, Kebbi, Sokoto, Yobe, and Zamfara states will plant a minimum of 1 tree to qualify, with a video evidence of before and after the tree planting exercise. 20 million naira will be awarded to the best household. Submission deadline is 20th December 2026. Community category will see local governments, local communities, schools, and NGOs reclaim and transform degraded or abandoned areas such as dump sites, landfills, parks, and their likes into green, vibrant gardens, parks, and eco-friendly spaces. 50 million naira will be awarded to the overall best community group. Deadline for submission is 15th July 2026. States category will have all states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory, excluding Enugu State, have a chance to address the growing threats to environmental sustainability and cleanliness. States will be judged based on the number of trees planted on major roads and inner streets and how clean they are. 100 million naira will be awarded to the best performing state. Already, Enugu State has 100 million naira for being RHI's model green state due to its greenery and cleanliness. Video evidence must be submitted by participating states on or before 20th December 2026. All entries must be directed to RHI Office, State House, Abuja, or email rhi.greenchallenge@statehouse.gov.ng. RHI Green Nigeria Challenge. Go green today for a greener tomorrow.
Thanks for staying with us. Let's take you back to our earlier story where the federal government has rolled out a major youth empowerment initiative under the Technical and Vocational Education and Training Program aimed at equipping 1 million Nigerians with employable and entrepreneurial skills. Minister of Education Tunji Alause spoke during an inspection visit to some training centers in Abuja. Maria Mohammed reports.
In line with President Tinubu's Renewed Hope agenda, the federal government is boosting technical and vocational trainings to help curb unemployment. The Minister of Education, Maruf Tunji Alause, says over 250,000 youths are enrolled in the first phase across 2,600 centers, focusing on 28 practical skill areas such as fashion, plumbing, and agriculture.
We worked on creating the curriculum, the course study. We wanted it to be heavily practical based, 90% practical and 20% theoretical. After this has been done, we opened the portal to the nation. Almost 1.3 million people applied within the first 10 days. We had to close it quickly. So of the 1.3 million youths that applied, we finalized about 960,000 youths on that portal.
The trainees say the program has expanded their knowledge and improved their ability to develop new skills.
With this training now, I've been able to know some of these fishes, how to, most especially we were talking about the African catfish. And you know, these are fish that are mostly common for this barbecue thing.
The minister added that trainees receive 22,500 monthly stipend, while training centers get 45,000 per participant. Graduates will also receive starter packs and access to Bank of Industry loans. He noted that over 960,000 applicants were verified to ensure transparency, with funds paid directly to the centers.
This is what you see. Our youth are not lazy. They're just waiting for the opportunities. And this is a clear and practical demonstration of that. We have youth, Nigerians, that are eager to learn. They just need the opportunities. And that's what this president is doing, equipping them with the opportunities they need.
With 1 million youths expected to benefit, the government described the program as an investment in Nigeria's future workforce. Maria Mohammed, TVC News, Abuja.
Professor Joash Amupitan is now the 6th substantive chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission. Mr. Amupitan is now fully in charge of INEC after he was sworn in by President Bola Tinubu. Now the task ahead of him is the protection of the integrity of Nigeria's elections and electoral process, as well as strengthening the institutional capacity of INEC. Our TVC News State House correspondent Femi Akande now reports.
With this swearing in, Professor Joash Amopiton has now been cleared to lead Nigeria's Independent National Electoral Commission, a task critical to the survival of Nigeria's democracy. He has been charged to protect the integrity of Nigeria's elections and electoral processes, as well as strengthen the institutional capacity of INEC.
Your nomination for the important role and the subsequent confirmation by the Senate is a testament to your capacity and the confidence reposed in you by both the executive and the legislative arm of government. The significant achievement marked the beginning of a challenging yet rewarding journey, and I trust that you will approach your responsibilities with the highest level of integrity, dedication, and patriotism.
President Bola Tinubu acknowledged